What's up, y'all? It's on my heart. I'm about to sing it out. It's so good loving somebody when somebody loves you back. What happened when they don't? What happens when they don't love you back? Wow. And a lot of times we're in spaces and places where we are looking for people to give us the love that we need to be showing to ourselves first. But it is good to love. I was scrolling down my timeline and I came across one of my friends who is I'm not going to say a newlywed, but a newly relationship. And she had posted, "It feels so good when somebody loves you back." That was the inspiration behind that song that we love so much, right? It's so good loving somebody when somebody loves you back. But then when they don't, it's very sad. Nobody's singing. What's up, y'all? It's time for a single talk. I was trying to wait for a couple folks to kind of get in, and I know some of y'all catch it now. Yes, Mel. Some of y'all gonna catch it now, some of y'all gonna catch it later, but as long as you catch it, that's all right with me. All right, so it's time for single talk. Y'all know we do this every other Tuesday. We had a special feature. Was it last week or the week before, child? I don't know. We did it on a Friday, and it was amazing. So for those of y'all who caught that a couple weeks ago with Tiffany Beverly Malott, right? That was amazing. Finding beauty in the broken pieces. Ma'am, sir. Testimony. It was a whole testimony service up in there. But as you guys are coming in, share, like, send me some hearts. Let me know you there. Let me feel your vibe. Tonight is going to be good. That's all I got to say. I've been putting, it's so interesting. Somebody made a post earlier and they said, "Oh, I see you getting all your prepaid legal people." It wasn't my intention. They just happen to be amazing people, and that's all right. So again, if this is your first time joining Single Talk, it's a platform that I created for singles. But other people, they like to chime in and watch, and that's absolutely fine. But the premise and the motivation is just to do away with the stigma that goes along with being single. Single is not a bad word. It's okay. You can be and we have different statuses, right? You can be single and in a relationship exclusively. You can be single, never married, no kid. There's all these different categories. We shouldn't all be lumped into one, but society likes to do that. But we have the power to kind of break those norms. But tonight, I thought it would be fun to call on my brother. I haven't talked to him in a while, but we're about to talk on here. Out of Chicago, an amazing speaker, author, actor, poet. Man, just overall talent. And I'm so excited to have him come on today. And our topic of discussion is going to be when love don't love you back. And not just because he happens to be in a play that's going to be titled that. But some of y'all stay in things a little bit too long and it's not loving you back. Right? So we'll get into that in just a little bit. So without further ado, hey everybody, let me say some quick highs and then Mel, I'm going to add you on. Hey Adisa, Shamika, I see you there. Carl, hey there. Lakeitha, Rebecca, love y'all. So again, like, share, get your friends in. We like the interaction. We'll definitely make note of some of your comments. But again, y'all don't want to miss this. Is that all right? Let's add in Mel. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah, y'all, listen. Ooh, I'm about to cross the fingers. Good connection. Let's pray for a great connection. Hi, Nisi. Come on in. Share, like. Hey, Shamika. So it says it's adding Mel. Fingers crossed that it is going to connect and smoothly. Yes. Come on with this suit. We We better get ready for the Facebook Live and put on our suit jackets and lipstick.
Hey, these are my pajamas, girl. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
right. Oh, just that. Those are some nice pajamas. Mel, what's going on? How you feeling?
Mostly with my hands, but occasionally with my
Ooh,
heart.
oh, I like it. I like a lot. So, Mel, I gave them a little of your accolades and just kind of some of the things that you do. Of course, we met on in prepaid legal back in the day, now Legal Shield. But then again, we our relationship continued just because you're a poet, I'm a musician, and we connected on that scene and so many other ways. And then you're just an inspirator, And so, from teaching people how to be grateful, teaching people leadership, and just being an overall amazing dude.
Thank you,
In your own words, who is Mel Roberson?
man. I am an example of what's possible with faith, vision, and hard work.
You better come on with it.
That's it. I don't. It's so funny because like to hear you say stuff about me or to hear people talk about me
Mm-hmm.
when I'm just doing what I think I was designed to do. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like it's not a big deal to me. I just left the reason I'm just like this is I just came from a chamber of
Right.
commerce
Mm-hmm.
meeting, and I was on the television show Chicago PD on NBC a
Oh,
couple of
just
weeks
that.
ago,
Just that.
and everybody in the chamber, like when I came in, they were like, "And here's our celebrity chamber member," and I'm just like, "No, I'm Mel Roberson from Legal Shield.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm here for. I'm not here for people to talk." And every question was about TV tonight, so it was nothing. It was nothing about what I do for my day business. It was
Sure.
all it was all TV stuff. So again, my moniker, my I guess my mission statement for myself is I just want to be an example of what's possible with faith, vision, and hard work. That's what it boils down to. And if I could show some other people how to tap into their greatness, like I'm not the richest person in the world, far from it.
Yeah.
But I think I'm one of the happiest people in the world,
Yes, which is why I love
and
you.
and that's more important to me than monetary riches. I'm
Absolutely.
wealthy in a lot of areas. I'm wealthy in good friendships, in relationships, and knowledge. I'm in my office now. I won't show y'all all of my junky office, but it's several
Ooh, tour.
bookshelves behind me. Nah, it's a mess in here today. But I have hundreds, literally hundreds and hundreds of books, probably over 1,000 books if I count it between what's in my office and what's around my house. So I'm wealthy in a lot of areas. I'm not. I don't have Bill Gates money, but um, I think happiness
Yeah.
is more yet, but happiness is so much more important.
No, I
For
love it.
yeah.
I absolutely love it. And it's so interesting. I do kind of want to start with this just as a general question before we jump into when love don't love you back. Because I just thought it was interesting. It has not just been with you. Everybody has their own, I guess, interpretation, for lack of a better word. That's not the word I want to use, but
Hmm.
of what single is, right? So we were
Hmm.
talking, and you let me know, okay, well, I'm not single. And so I was talking to another guy about something to do with a single group, and he said that he wasn't single. And so in my mind, I if you're unmarried, you're single. But a lot does it matter, kind of how we all perceive that? And I know my own answer to that. But
Hmm.
what are you single if you're just dating? Is that is just an exclusive thing, or when do we take the category of not being single off of the table, especially when you still got to mark single on your taxes?
Well, I think the difference between marking single on your taxes
Mm-hmm.
and living the single life is your level of commitment to who your partner is.
Mm.
You know what
There
I
it
mean?
is.
That's really what it boils down to. Like, who is this? Nisi is saying expectation.
Expectation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? So single in the sense that yeah, I still file my taxes, uh, di- single or whatever, but not single in the sense that my commitment to whoever I'm with, I'm going to be there for them no matter what. It's I guess it's different levels to it. Now,
Yeah.
if you're a person that's just actively dating and you're trying to see what's out there and all of that, well, that's a totally different ball game.
Sure.
You
Sure.
you're still playing the field. But if you are committed to somebody and that person is committed to you, then ultimately you all decide if you consider yourself single or not. I don't think there's a broad brushstroke definition that will say, well, this means you're single, this means you're not. And
Right.
people could go by the taxes thing, people can go by the
Yeah.
government stuff,
Yeah.
but I don't think in the Old Testament they had to have documents signed to
Right.
say that they were married.
True.
You know what I mean? They and then our families and our roots in Africa didn't have to have documents signed to say that you were married. It was like,
Right.
I like your daughter. Here's 7 cows, 8 goats, and 3 chickens. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm gonna take her, and I'm gonna take care of her. And that
Exactly.
dowry was offered so that in the event that you didn't take care of the daughter, the family had some type of collateral or payment or whatever to be able to assume that, I don't want to say burden, but that responsibility if the daughter had to come back.
Right. I think
So,
where it gets a little tricky though, and maybe not, but I'm just kind of thinking. So if you're single, it's contingent upon the person that you're with, and you together determine what that means. If that's
mhm,
exclusivity, whatever. But if you're married, you have people that are completely unattached. Maybe they're not even with their spouse. Maybe they're even living in different homes,
mhm,
but they still married. You know what I mean?
on
So
paper,
that's
right?
where on paper, but that's the thing though. But I can't marry them. So that's where I'm saying like it can get a little sticky. So I think it really is dependent. What I hear Nisi saying, even you saying, it's gonna be based on those two people, what they see as acceptable for each of them. But as for me, I don't know. I'll probably be when I'm in an exclusive relationship. I'll still be single, but in an exclusive relationship, because I
Mhm,
think what ends up happening too for a lot of women, and this is just my own thought. It depends on the people. Is they don't have, and maybe the marriage certificate doesn't matter, but then it's 12 years later, and now we just been together, and so what am I'm wifey, and
mhm.
so that's where to me it just gets a little sticky. But maybe it's different strokes for different folks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it also depends on how important titles are to people.
Mm,
You know
like
what I mean?
Oprah
Like,
Seven, yeah.
yeah, like how important is this title? How important is this? Everything has value based on what value we give it. You
That's
know,
good.
um, so there are some people that think it's crazy to pay $300 for an Apple Watch,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
$300 for an Apple Watch. All that is a mini iPhone, and it does everything my phone does, and I can get a $10 watch that'll tell me the time, or I can get a Fitbit for a lot cheaper. And
Yeah.
for that particular person, the Apple Watch has no value because it's something that they're not interested in.
Mm-hmm.
But the value that we attach to something makes us realize or give it some type of significance in our lives.
Yeah.
So, and that's it. And so a friend of mine, she posted something the other day on Facebook, and she was like, she had to ask a guy, is there anybody else that thinks they're your wife or thinks that y'all go together or whatever? Because it
Oh,
wasn't a thing of,
yes.
are you single?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm single. All right, okay, cool, that's fine. Is there anybody else that thinks that they're your wife, your girlfriend,
I
your
love her.
whatever?
We could be best friends.
Uh, and I was cracking up. I'm like, that's a thing.
It's legit.
You know what I'm saying?
That's straight up legit.
Yeah, yeah. But then the other part of it too is, we talk about expectations, and we talk about um, we talk about the meaning that we put on something, the meaning that we give to a title or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's also a matter of what people want to gain out of the relationship.
Hmm.
There are some people that don't consider themselves. Prime example. You have some people that are married, but they're married in what they call open relationships for whatever reason they
True.
want to be in.
Monique.
So exactly, Monique. So she's not single. She got a whole husband. A whole husband, right?
That she
but
called. That she called daddy.
that she called daddy, right? But at the end of the day, they have certain freedoms
Yes.
that they're both okay with, that they've agreed to, um, and uh, that's their thing. And I see Kevin on here saying that people need to study their Bibles. And
Yeah.
while that might be a point for many people,
If that's their
Christian,
faith, yeah.
yeah, if that's their faith, Christians can't act like nothing else exists on the planet.
Yeah,
You know what I
even though,
mean?
yeah.
Like that's where we run into problems where it's like, this is the way, this is what the book says, and this is it. Well, clearly it's not the only thing, because other stuff does exist. And if we're ignorant of whatever else is out there, then we end up getting blindsided and
Yeah.
not understanding, other people.
Yes,
So
yeah.
it's just interesting.
No, it's very interesting. It was something else though that it was. I'm going back. I think it was Kavina. Kevin. Oh, this was Kevin again saying they when they were talking about the people who are married, but they're separated or they decided to live other lives. He's saying that they're married to one another, but that's not who God chose for them. And what that sparked in me really was just the thought, again, kind of like what your friend was saying, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be really honest, don't be afraid to ask the questions, and just get clarity on what you're getting yourself into, because that's the whole, I don't want somebody saying, well, God didn't make that person for me, and you still married. Well, then go ahead and finalize that and get the divorce and move on so that we can have a clean slate. And so that's what I said. What? Say it, Mel.
I don't. It's so interesting because everybody has their thing that they believe.
Yes.
Okay. And no matter what your faith is, and
right.
I'm not even talking about from a faith, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever.
Right.
But like I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about soulmates, and they were like, "Well, do you believe in soulmates?" And I was like, "Absolutely not."
Okay.
And they were like, "Why not?"
You can have several.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if your first wife or husband gets hit by a bus,
that was
right?
it.
And nobody else. That's the only person God made for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, these next 40 years gonna be tough. I just lost.
It's rough.
I just lost my soulmate. You know what I mean? I think ultimately, love is a decision to make a commitment, then being committed to that decision.
Ooh, yes.
And that's it.
Yes.
Love is a decision to make a commitment and then being committed to that decision. And there's nothing it ain't a feeling.
Yeah.
It ain't how googly eyed you are with them. It ain't, because all those things can change.
That's true.
You know what I mean? It's the decision to make a committed. Okay, I love you. You love me. We're making a decision to be committed to each other, and we're going to be committed to that decision regardless of what happens.
I love that.
Now I'm not saying be committed to that decision if she beating your head in with a frying pan, or what I'm saying, don't. or he's abusive or whatever. Then that's a thing of your safety and common sense. But at the end of the day, it's really about, okay, if I love you and you love me and we're committed to each other, what does that look like, and what are our expectations, and what are we committed to doing together to move forward in this relationship? Because so many people get in relationships where their level of growth does not match their partner's level of growth.
Yeah.
And, here it is, she's growing, she's reading, and she's praying and meditating and doing all of these things.
Yeah.
And he's hanging out at the pool hall with the boys. You know what I mean? So his horizons are never expanded, and she ends up outgrowing him. And yes, she's committed, but he's not honoring his commitment in the relationship to grow as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you see stuff like that, but
no, I'm with it.
Don't get me started.
I guess kind of transitioning, into the topic at hand, when love, don't love you back, so how do you identify it? How do you identify that? Because a lot of times people, because I saw somebody, I think it was Teresa, she said something about loyalty, and a lot of times we're loyal to a expectation, we're loyal to potential, we're loyal to what I hope can be and what it can become. So I guess the first thing is, how do you identify when love isn't loving you back? And then maybe even talk about some things that's going on within the play, maybe some of the scenarios.
Okay, so I don't believe in cookie cutters, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is there is no formula where this applies to everybody's situation.
Yeah.
Where's my love languages book? I know I got it around here somewhere.
Come on, Mohawk.
Right? Oh yeah, my right. um, but it's different things. It's different things for different people because
Yeah. I've read love languages, so I'm familiar.
yeah. So people say when love don't love you back, or what does it look like when love doesn't love you back? It kind of depends because somebody might only be able to give
Oh, I
what
see where
they
you're going.
know.
I see where you're
You know
going.
what I mean?
I see where you're going.
Like like I am a very unique example of parents that have been together for over 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I know what a good marriage looks like. I know how my father is with my mom, and even though they may not have been all lovey-dovey in front of
Yeah.
us all the time, well, hell, me and my brother had to get here somehow. So, I know that
Yeah.
I know what happened for
Somebody
us
was
to get
rocking,
here,
knocking the boots.
right? But they're still together after all of these years, and my mama's even said it wasn't always easy, but it was always worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So, for her, even if she felt that she wasn't getting something that she needed in the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
she knew that my father was doing the best that he could.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, got
And
you, got you.
and that's what it boils down to in relationships. Sometimes people, because of their own situations or knowledge or limitations or whatever, they don't know how to adequately love somebody else. All they know is the examples that they've had
Yeah.
or how they feel or what their experiences
Yeah.
have been. Um, I was having a conversation with one of my friends. This was some years ago. I don't know. You probably do. You remember Sam Prime, Sam
Sounds
Pagitha
familiar.
Prime? She was in Wisconsin.
Oh, Sam. Does
Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah,
play?
yeah. The
Yes.
the violin. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I was having a conversation with her a while. It was a long time ago, and she had to break it down for me. We were talking about relationships and everything, and she was like, "Yo, like you deserve to be loved.
Yeah.
Like you deserve it."
That's
Because
good.
at some point in my life, because of the relationships that I had been in, um, I had a hard time allowing a woman to love me,
Mm-hmm.
and she, in a very candid conversation, I won't go into all the explicit
Mm-hmm.
details about what was going on, but she was like, "Yo, you deserve," and she was telling me this as a friend.
Yeah.
She was like, "You deserve to allow somebody to love you. Like you
Mm-hmm.
actually deserve that. You have to be open to it though, in order to receive it." And it was a very eye-opening thing for me because I don't know how my thought process deterred me or kept me from reciprocating love
Mm.
to whoever that person was based on my own limitations or my
Yeah.
own my own closures,
Yeah.
my own walls that I
Barriers.
had
Yeah.
up.
Walls. Uh-huh.
So it's just different. You can't say, well, when he does this or he doesn't do this, love, then love ain't loving you back. My aunt, my mom's oldest sister, I remember her telling me a story. I was in my 20s or whatever, and I had asked her for some relationship advice. And she was like, it's so interesting that we're talking about this because with her husband at the time, my uncle's deceased now, but her husband at the time, she was like, I used to get so mad at him because I would be in the kitchen and when he walked by, he didn't smack me on the butt, or
Oh,
he
Auntie
didn't.
was a little kid.
Yeah, but see, so
Oh,
here's the
Auntie.
thing though. The example that she had was that's how my grandmother and grandfather were.
Ah.
He was very playful. He
Yes.
chased her
Yes.
around and would
Yes.
smack her on the butt or grab
Yeah.
her, talk
Yeah.
crazy.
Flirty.
So
Yeah.
her thing was when dad does this to mom, that means he loves her.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when her husband didn't do that to her, she equated it to he doesn't love me because he didn't smack me on the butt. When in the grand scheme of things, he never had that example. He didn't
Many look,
know.
tell
He didn't know
Auntie
that's what
many
she
people didn't
wanted.
have that example.
Exactly. Exactly. So I don't think that I say all that to say I don't think that there's a cookie cutter for when love don't love you back. I will say
Yeah, I feel
that
you. Yeah.
the biggest indication though is a lack of respect.
Ooh.
Love don't love you back when the respect factor
Ooh
isn't
wee.
there.
Yes.
From how you talk to somebody, how you treat somebody, your consideration for somebody, all of those things And even then, I won't say that that's an absolute. In some cases, again, people have had horrible examples. There are some women out there, and men for that matter, but there are some women out there, when I hear how they talk to men, they wonder why they can't keep one.
Ooh, help somebody in here
You know what I mean?
today.
Like I'm not saying that you have to cater to somebody's ego, but your lack of respect
Mm.
in your communication with somebody who's your mate or potentially your mate will keep a. My thing is, I had to. I was again. I'm drawing on past relationships,
Yeah.
and one of my exes, we were having a bit of a heated conversation, and I try to stay. I'm a very even keel person. I chill. You know what I mean? But she was talking to me in a way that was, in my opinion, extremely disrespectful.
Mm.
And I'm from Chicago, 79th and Colfax to be exact. And she knew where I grew up, and I had to stop her like mid conversation. She going in, just going at it. I said, "Yo," I said, "Hold on for a second, pause. If anybody else was talking to me the way that you're talking to me, what do you think my response would be?"
Mm-hmm.
She thought about it, and I was like, "What gives you the right to talk to me? Or if you saw somebody else talking to me like that, what would your
Yeah.
response be?"
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So what gives you the right to be able to talk to me in a manner that you wouldn't allow somebody else to talk to me? Or
Yeah.
you know what I would do if
Yeah.
somebody else besides you were talking to me like that?
Yeah.
So you have to be careful on how you communicate with people or to people. And that's not just a female thing.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a
In
man
general,
thing
right.
too. I mean, there are a lot of men that are extremely disrespectful with their conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But lack of respect is a quick way to figure out that, yeah, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah. Right.
This ain't
No,
gonna
no,
work.
ma'am, no, sir. No, and something, a few things that you said just, got some stuff standing up in me. You're talking about that respect level. A lot of times, again, I'll go back, it's a broken record, but it's real. A lot of what we're dealing with is a lot of people who are broken that are trying to build in relationships with other people who are broken. That's not always the case. But
Mm-hmm.
what I've noticed with some women, and again, this is just in general, I've seen women who do a lot of that. A lot of times it won't happen up front. It happens a little bit later on, and it's almost a weird, almost self-sabotaging thing, so
Mm-hmm.
that you can walk away saying, if it doesn't work out, oh, he broke up with me, he pushed me away,
Mm-hmm.
and so you
Mm-hmm.
almost create this false drama, things that don't
Mm-hmm.
even matter, or the tone that you take with people, just to be like a replay of, see, I told you men weren't good, see, I
Mm-hmm.
told you they won't listen. So I think
Mm-hmm.
we've got to really get to the root of why. And I think what we, as people, as we're choosing people to be in relationships with, understanding that it is real work. It is one person that has their own perceptions, their own environment that they're pulling from as a reference point to why they do what they do. Meeting another person with completely different experiences, trying to pull two lives together, is going to take work. And back to that
Mm-hmm.
other point that you said about the love languages and when love don't love you back, I do actually have a story of a guy that I used to date. I won't get into heavy details either, where his love language was really doing stuff. Like, his thing was doing things for me. I'd come home or whatever the situation. Maybe he had my TV fixed or something was fixed, and that was his thing. And I was supposed to be like, yeah, but I'm looking for flowers or words of affirmation and
Mm-hmm.
that type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But for him, at his capacity, that was love, because he wasn't
Mm-hmm.
fixing everybody else's toilet. He was fixing
Mm-hmm.
mine.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it took work to understand that. And so what you have to do, at least in my opinion, is that, when you sit down with these people and you understand there's going to be differences, you got to see, what can I talk, will this work long term, but like you said, when it comes down, like with things like that, we're all going to change, we're all going to grow. There's things that I needed when I was 20 that I don't need now that I'm pushing 40,
Mm-hmm.
and there's
Mm-hmm.
things
Mm-hmm.
that I need now that I won't need when I'm 60 or 70 years old, and so it's just it's a process,
Right.
and I think that as people, we have to determine. I think the determining factor then is I'm in 100% agreement with you that it does come down to respect. Like you said, respect of how you talk to me, respect of my belief system, respect of my what hurts me. If I'm telling you this bothers me, don't wail in on that thing. Let's flesh it out. So, the play that you're in, when love don't love you back, did that bring up some things in your personal life, or is it completely different than anything you've experienced?
Well, let me before we go there, because
Okay.
you said a couple of things that I
Yeah,
think are
no,
very
it's good, right?
important. You talked about two broken people coming together
Yes.
trying to figure things out. I
Yeah.
think to a certain degree or extent, we're always going to be broken or scarred.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's healing, but there's we don't
There'll be a
forget.
scar. There's
Yeah,
a consequence
yeah.
to that
The
bruise.
thing about two broken people coming together that is powerful is, you know, if you're broken, and I'll use houses as an example, if your brokenness is the electricity and my brokenness is the plumbing, but you know how to fix pipes and I know how to wire lights,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I
then
see.
those two broken people come together and they complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of that is the
But you have to be
patience.
aware,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
else
You have to
you'll
be
be
aware.
trying to mow the lawn, and I need you to fix the electrical.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
I'm getting to
Okay.
that. So the other part is the patience though, because if again you need electricity, I need plumbing, but I'm mowing the lawn and you need electricity, there has to be a certain level of communication, respect, understanding, and patience for you to be able to tell me, hey, I need the electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Mowing the lawn is nice, but I need the electricity. And where the patience comes in is I might have to learn how to fix the electricity
Yeah.
because it's something that I've never done before,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
it's outside the parameters of my comfort zone or my knowledge or my awareness, because we're habitual creatures by nature.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so if I've been a certain way for 42 years and something that you need is not my thing, I got to figure out a way to make it my thing, and
Mm-hmm.
it takes a conscious effort to do that,
Yeah.
because it hasn't been. And then the last part about it is the comfort level. um, I'll use a personal example. So my girlfriend now, she's a complimenter,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that, she'll say, oh, you look nice, you look handsome, or you whatever. And I've always been very uncomfortable
Oh.
when people say stuff like that to
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean? It just makes, for whatever reason, it makes, well, I probably could dig back and figure out the reasons,
Yeah.
from my childhood or whatever, but it makes me uncomfortable. And so since it's something that makes me uncomfortable, I never got comfortable doing it.
Ah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Because
Uh-huh.
why would you do to somebody else something that makes you uncomfortable?
Exactly. Because more than likely
Right?
you're gonna get it back. Yeah.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So subconsciously, even sometimes we're in a space where if it's not our thing, it's not because we don't want the other person to feel good about themselves or
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
It's just that, well, it makes me uncomfortable, so I don't like being punched, so I don't punch people. And I know
Right.
that's
Right.
that's
Right.
the negative
But
side
I
of
get
it.
it. Uh-huh.
But you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes there's a patience and there's a learning curve and a conscious effort. And you could be doing really good for a while, but you always revert back to what's habitual for you. Okay.
Absolutely.
So there's that thing. So now fast forward to the play. So
Oh wait,
on
hold
November,
on. Okay,
yes.
see you keep giving good nuggets, and then I give a couple good nuggets, and then it's like I
What?
gotta say
Come
something on
on with
that.
these nuggets,
Okay,
girl.
hold on that. We about to get there because this is also a branch of Saved in the City, so I just got to get real church girl just for 1 second, and then we gonna pull it back.
Do your
So
thing.
this is my little church moment though. So I feel you on. We were given the example of the electricity. I know
Mm-hmm.
people were just joining. They're like, "Where are they talking about lawns so passionately?"
Mm-hmm. Right, right, right.
But what I'm saying is that there are certain things that even sometimes even I don't know about myself, right? There are certain
Mhm.
things that I'm still learning and growing. So, in my opinion, as for those people who are believers, you also have to be tapped into the spirit so that you can so there are certain things that God can give you about your significant other that they may not be able to articulate, vice versa. And so
Mhm.
in my opinion, it really has to be this triune thing going on. It's you, and because the thing is, God knew both of y'all before y'all came together. So in
Mhm.
that space, you need to have a connection to something that's higher than you, because there are times, just because negative stuff gets all in the way, that you can get something dropped into your spirit that says, oh wait, hold, just don't say that to him right now. He may not be
Mhm.
able to articulate that, or she may not be able to express that, but because I'm in tune, I'm able to say, oh, okay, let me figure that out, so that's all I wanted to add to it, because I think what you're
Mhm.
saying is spot on, but that extra piece will go a long way.
Mhm.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah, when love is,
Absolutely.
and now to play.
And now the play. So on November 17th,
Yes.
I'm in a play. One of my really good friends, her name is Talana Brooks. She's an amazing playwright. She's been writing forever, and she got the courage to actually produce and put one of her writings out. There are a lot of people that have books, that have
Yeah.
plays, that have films that they're writing. They're amazing, but nobody's seen them because
Yeah.
the person hasn't gotten the courage up to do it yet. And so she got the courage up to do it. And we're in the Chicago area, so I know we got people watching from
We
all
do.
over. But
Yep.
no,
Yep.
November 17th, we'll be in Chicago at DuSable Museum in the Washington Park area. So that's at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6. Playtime's at 7.
Yeah. And it's
Uh,
not
I'll,
far.
I'll
So Milwaukee folks, we can go up that way too.
yeah. I'll put a link in the comments.
Yeah.
And I'll put a link. The link is on my Facebook page already. I need to post it again because so
Hmm.
much stuff has flooded my timeline. But
Yeah.
but it's a great play, and it's the I don't want to give too much away, but it says when love don't love you back.
Yes.
It's some
You got to
love that
give us
don't
a
love
little
you back.
something, even if, okay, just like a roundabout scenario of some of the stuff.
So it's very interesting. There's quite a few main characters, principal characters. The main character is played by a young lady I've done several productions with. Her name is Tiffany Curtis.
Hmm.
She's the lead. She plays Naya, and she has a husband coming from, or that's being played by Messiah Equiano, who I've done a ton of stuff with him. He's the writer of the Penis Monologues,
Uh huh.
the play that was run in
Oh,
Chicago for a
so there's
while
a
that I was
penis
in.
I know there was a vagina monologue.
Yeah,
They did a penis monologue.
yeah, and it's off the chain too. Oh my God, it was dope. It was so
I
dope.
didn't
We're
say,
gonna bring that
okay,
back
I've seen
too.
that one. Okay.
But right now we're talking about when love don't love you back, and
Yes.
that's dope
Okay.
too.
Right. We're not
So
there. Not off the bring it
yeah,
back.
yeah, right. So yeah, they're a husband and a wife, and they have some situations that they have to deal with and figure out what their relationship is going to look like.
Hmm.
So it touches on not only their love life, but their professional careers, their friends, their circles,
Hmm.
and there are a couple of different couples in there that have some situations going on that they need to figure out. Does love love you back?
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's
that's
dope.
dope. That's dope. I
It's
definitely want to
dope.
see it. You're not giving us no. You're not giving us nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't give it away. I
We
can't give it
gotta come
away.
and
You
see it.
got it. You got to come see it though. And it's so interesting because, um, I'm a graduate student now,
Yeah.
and I'm working on my MBA.
Come
And I
on.
told myself, I was like, plays just take too much time.
Yeah.
I can't do all those rehearsals and all this stuff. And when Talana asked me, I'm like there's certain playwrights that if they ask me, I try to figure out a way to make it work. Now, some
Yeah.
people I will tell
Right.
no. Some people I will tell no. But I try to figure out a way to make it work, and I did, and I'm so happy that I did. I think there's going to be a lot of healing from this play. I
Oh,
think a lot of
good.
people will see
Yes.
themselves in one of the characters and be like, man, this is what my life has been like, and they'll be able to make some decisions. They say art imitates life, and I think the whole thing
Yes.
around that. Sometimes we need to see something on the big screen or the television or whatever
Hmm.
for us to be able to cope with stuff. A prime example is the television show This Is Us.
Oh God, which is hard
Man,
right now.
right, like crying every
Every
episode, right?
episode is me and tissues.
Um, but I had never dealt with the fact that we lost a baby
Yeah,
before, you know
yeah.
what I mean? And it was like, we know what the woman goes through if there's a miscarriage or ectopic pregnancy or
Oh,
all of that stuff, but it never deals with, I as a man, never dealt with it because I was so busy trying to make sure she was okay that I never dealt with my own emotions around the
mm,
situation. And so that TV show provided a level of healing and understanding and eye-opening stuff. And
yeah, yeah,
I got a buddy who's adopted and he watches the show and he's like, man, this is my life. Even
yeah.
though the people that adopted him weren't white parents, but he's like,
Right.
man, growing up as a foster child or an adopted child is different. So I think the play When Love Don't Love You Back is going to provide that same level of, here's some stuff that I may have been dealing with, and now I'm ready to confront it. I'm ready to address it. I'm ready to have some breakthroughs in my
Yeah.
life.
So a question. Well, we kind of dealt with this, so I guess I'll kind of just segue it this way. Well, I'll just say the question I was going to ask is, when is it okay to walk away? And I think we kind of addressed that earlier when you talked about being disrespected. Obviously abuse. Um,
Hmm.
but maybe even give something to people, maybe some kind of final parting words or some thoughts or whatever.
Are you
Because
trying
the
to get
thing
rid
is,
of me
walking,
early?
huh?
You trying to get rid of me early?
Oh no, we because we gonna go to the comments as well. But
Right.
the other thing is that when people are so the I guess the one of the stages is identifying, okay, this isn't working for me, and
Hmm.
then walking away. But the other part is where it gets hard, is then dealing with being alone. And so maybe addressing that and maybe being okay with that, or what does that healing process look like? Because a lot of times when you see people, okay, I'm walking away, but I'm walking into another relationship and never really getting over the next thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, there's no cookie cutter answer, but one of the things that I do want to speak to is some people are serial relationship people.
Ooh, yes.
They think that their identity is contingent upon if they are with somebody or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to, in a couple of different situations, figure out that I would rather be alone and happy than with somebody and miserable,
Wow.
or with somebody and not being myself, or with somebody and not living to my fullest potential, or whatever. And these are relationships spanning back from high school, college, whatever, through my adult life. And I've had some tremendous relationships too,
Mm-hmm.
like some amazing relationships where my own personal shortcomings caused me to hurt some magnificent women.
Wow.
Um, but it's okay to walk away when, again, the respect isn't there and all of that other stuff. Somebody said, when it takes you out of your character.
Yes.
I won't necessarily, I agree with that to an extent, but sometimes the reason that you're outside of your character is because you're scared and you don't know how to react.
Right. Or you may not even really know what your authentic character is either.
Yeah.
That's a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. So some people walk away from relationships and they jump right back in another one because they're not okay with being alone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't be happy by yourself, it's going to be hard to be happy with somebody.
Yes.
You got to learn to be happy by yourself
Mm-hmm.
and know that you're okay and you're a decent human being, and you can contribute to somebody else's
Mm-hmm.
happiness. But ultimately, that's what our partners do. They contribute to our happiness. If you
Yes.
have to if you have to depend on somebody to make you happy, then that's not okay, because what if
Yeah.
they don't show up to work that day? Like, if their job
Ah.
is to make you happy,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
you know what I
Right.
mean, and they want to go on vacation.
Yeah.
So I'm not here to make you happy right now because I'm on
Yeah.
vacation for making you happy. Then that's going to be an issue. That's going to be an
Seriously.
issue. So that has to come from inside, not out.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And again, it's that whole thing of stepping out of what society has told us that we have to look for, which is someone
Hmm.
to complete us. And that is
Yes.
not the case. I say it every time. I'll say it again. It's not the case. I mean, what you're looking is for someone to compliment what you're doing already, because you're always going to be in a place of being disappointed because there is no other human on this earth that can meet your need, that can
Mm-hmm.
meet your expectation for everything else,
Mm.
especially the need that you really have for yourself. Like
Right.
there's some